In Chapter 3, we're going to talk about torts. And tort is the only word anybody seems to remember from B-Law, and it's actually a French word, which means wrong, and it represents in our course personal wrongdoing, if that's helpful for you to remember. And we contrast that from a public wrong. Tort law was developed to deter people from harming others. And that's really the principle that you're going to see as each of those comes up is what kind of harm are we trying to discourage people from engaging in? The objective of tort law is to give victims of that wrongdoing a path to be compensated after they've been harmed. Torts are different than crimes. And so we take this example of somebody who is going to hit somebody else. And we can see here that it gives rise to cause of action in tort law and in criminal law. And so it's important to understand that these things don't exist in isolation. They can overlap, and one incidence or one set of facts can give rise to multiple different areas of law. In this case, hitting somebody would be the tort of battery and assault, but would also be assault and battery under the criminal code. And so you could be charged by the government and separately by the individual. And the purpose of that is that the government can protect the public from you as a dangerous person, and then the individual can get compensated for the injury. So maybe they incurred hospital bills or other expenses or personal distress that they want to sue from personally. But let's look at this scenario. And so previously we were dealing with tort law and crime, but now all of a sudden it's okay. And why is that? Well, in that case, the parties would have entered into a contract or an agreement. And contract law is very different from tort law. Contract law is more forward-looking. So what we do when we enter into a contract is parties get together and they say, this is what I want from you. This is what you'll get from me. This is what will happen if either of us doesn't fulfill those obligations, and everybody agrees. And so we're planning into the future what's going to happen. Tort law is different because it looks backwards. And the reason for that is harm has already been done. So if somebody gets punched at the bar or if privacy is breached, harm has occurred. And now we're looking back to say, how can we navigate this to make it fair and to hold the appropriate people responsible and mitigate any harm that's been done? Contract law, we're forward looking. Everybody voluntarily agrees. They're aware of the terms. They've decided on the terms. They've decided to enter into this arrangement. And the arrangement only applies to the people that are party to the contract. So people that signed the contract or entered into the contract. So if Mike Tyson and Jake Paul are fighting, they can't go and hit the referee and say that he was a part of it. In contrast, in tort law, like we said, we're looking backwards, but we also don't really care whether people know about their obligations or not. So like we said, in contract law, you are aware and agree to whatever you're entering into. In tort law, it doesn't matter if you're not aware of the law of nuisance. It's a nuisance regardless if you knew about the law of nuisance.